let's talk about the national view of Trey Lance because it surprises me daily. These people who, in my opinion, haven't watched very much of the 49ers or Trey Lance come out and have really strong opinions based on a really small sample size that we've poured over and watched millions of times. What do you think of this national view of Lance? That seems
I
pretty
think
pessimistic.
yeah, it does seem pretty pessimistic. There's a couple of different ways. One of them is to say, like what you said, in that they just haven't seen enough of them, and so
Yeah.
they're basing it off of a very small sample size compared to what we've paid attention. When we're paying attention to them as much as we are out here. Um, so that's definitely one. There's definitely for me, I would say that the national view, kind of maybe the more pessimistic or wait and see kind of view,
Yeah.
makes sense because they're further away from the situation, so they're not as engrossed in you know this whole Trey is ready kind of push that everybody seems to be making right now.
Yeah, it just seems to me like what they're working from is he didn't play last year and Jimmy's not that great. And that must mean Trey's even worse. And then pretty much working backwards from there. Well, he got hurt. His numbers weren't great. He didn't play super well in the first start. Like, I don't know. It seems like there's a lot of people who kind of made their mind up and have been waiting to say something like this. And the fact that he didn't play is everything is confirming evidence because there is no evidence. There's 2.5 games. So any tiny little shred of anything can be used to support whatever argument you want to make. And when someone like Booger McFarland or Brian Baldinger or Joe Montana says something like, I don't know, man, like I've watched more of him than you have. And I defer on other things, but I've watched more of him than you have. And I don't know what's going to happen with Trey Lance. I think let's see what happens this offseason when Jimmy's gone and the full focus of the organization is on this kid and he gets a puncher's chance to succeed. I don't understand why you would just look at like 1 or 2 games and be like, nah, I've seen enough. I am that good. All I need is 2 games. Like, no, you're not. No one's that good, dude. What? Jimmy started what? 40, 50 something games, and there's still a debate about him.
Yeah,
I mean, it takes a while.
yeah, no, it's going to take a little while. I do think that there's some over. I understand folks who are kind of maybe say a little bit more wait and see approach, but like
Sure.
what McFarland said is off base. I don't agree at all with what he said because, I mean, okay, it's true that he got hurt in his first start. It's true that he only played 2 games. But if you look at the full scope of everything, are the 49ers really going to run Trey Lance 15 times every
No.
time he starts? You
Does
know,
Booger even know that they did that?
right.
Does
And
he even
it,
know? Yeah.
yeah. And
They used him like Tim Tebow in that game. I assume not going to do that ever again.
yeah, and that was a little bit of a rough game, but at the same point, they should have won that game
By
if
kicking
they just
field goals.
well, yeah, by kicking field goals or just not holding, the penalties that they had. It wasn't the stuff that wasn't just Trey Lance's fault that cost the 49ers
Yeah.
that game. He could have played better, but he wasn't the reason that they lost that game. That would have been a win against. They were playing one of the at that point. Arizona was one of the hottest teams in the league the first 2 times the 49ers played them, or the
I
two
think I
times
gave
the
him a
49ers
C
played them.
plus in my post game grades, which I thought was a decent
Accurate.
day, a pretty good debut against a good team. That team was good at the time, Arizona.
Yeah, they were playing top. Even when they played them the second time, it wasn't until the second half of the year
Yeah,
after that they fell off the map. But
that's true.
uh,
That's true.
I felt like he played. I didn't when I watched it live. I wasn't super excited about it. When I went back and watched it and really kind of looked through and paid attention to everything that was going on in that game, I felt like he played pretty well in that first one, and he definitely played way better in the second game.
I have a theory too. I think everyone saw how big of a story Joe Montana's thing about Trey Lance was. Like, I think everyone realized if you're a big name analyst and you say that you're the center of attention for a day, and Joe Montana was center of attention for a week. Now Booger done the same thing, and I think it's kind of like the trendy opinion to have right now because it really upsets Niner fans and gets people going. It's like a hot button issue, but it's a disingenuous debate. We don't know. And then people who like haven't watched them very much say, I can tell you right now, things are not looking good. It's like, all right, well, we'll just check back in a few months. I don't know.
Yeah, the whole
I
thing is
wouldn't bet against him, man. He's got so much going for him, and it doesn't even involve him. I don't know. Good luck.
I wish. No, I feel like Trey Lance is going to come out in 2022. He's going to be fine. He's going to, all he has to do is if he matches what Jimmy Garoppolo does, or even come close to that, it's going to be. I think they're going to be fine. And you know, the thing for me when you talk about this debate, I chuckle at the way that Joe Montana's comments were handled and looked at by the Trey supporters. When you consider that Steve Young has said repeatedly that if Trey Lance was ready to play, he would have played.
True.
He said
Steve's
it
saying the
so
same
many,
thing.
but
He's
the
saying the same
difference
thing. Yeah.
the difference was that Steve didn't say they should have drafted Mac Jones, and he didn't say they should have kept Jimmy Garoppolo or should keep Jimmy
And
Garoppolo.
Steve didn't say he was talking to people on the team in the locker room.
Right. He's just getting it off based off of his view and so on. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just interesting the way that the people, cling to one side or the other. And is he ready? I feel like he is. I'm not gonna scream at everybody who might think that he isn't though either.
Well, this will be an interesting measuring stick. Obviously, Jimmy Garoppolo against him, we'll be looking at that all year wherever Jimmy plays. What about Lance against the other quarterbacks who were drafted his year? I mean, a lot of people are assuming, well, Lance hasn't played and he's been on the bench, and Zach Wilson is going to be better because he played. Justin Fields is going to be better because Trevor Lawrence, all these guys are going to be better. It'll be interesting to see, because while Trey Lance is going to make rookie mistakes that maybe he wouldn't have made had he gotten more playing time this past season, he has Deebo Samuel, George Kittle, Kyle Shanahan. He's got so much, and the defense. Trevor Lawrence can't compete. So I actually wouldn't be surprised if Lance statistically outperforms a lot of his peers from last year. Doesn't necessarily mean he's better than them, but he's going to make a lot of these national pundits eat their words if he does that.
Yeah. Well, we have a small, sample size of him against Houston, and we can compare his game against Houston to what Mac Jones did against Houston and what a number of other quarterbacks did against, including Trevor Lawrence did against Houston, and his numbers were better than both of those guys.
That's a really good point. And someone pointed out to me earlier when I was doing a show with Coach Noah Johnston, the week before Trey Lance beat Houston, Justin Herbert lost to Houston. So, I mean, they weren't I'm not saying Houston was good, but it's an NFL team that had some impressive wins under their belt.
Yeah, and Herbert threw a couple of picks in that game, and Lance only had one. I mean, there's a lot of positives that you can take away from what Trey Lance did in Week 17. I mean, he not only did he play well against Houston in Week 17, but he played well in a must-win game for the 49ers to make the playoffs. Which none of these other
remember it too. Everyone says it was just Houston. It was a playoff game, literally.
Yeah.
If they lose that game, it's over, and they were losing at halftime. And he came out and destroyed Houston in the second half, eviscerated them.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of reasons to be positive about Trey Lance going into 2022. There really is, and I can deal with people who don't think that they are that he's ready, but at the same time, there's evidence to show them the contrary. He's ready.
Yeah, and as an English major at UCLA, what they would say is define your terms. What the hell does ready mean in this context? And it's one of these terms that it means nothing, and you can always throw that out there as it's like, well, it's a mysterious definition. I know what it is. I'm not going to share it, but I know because I have expertise. I'll let you know when I think that's basically what it's saying, right? Like, forget that word. It means nothing. He's ready because he's going to be the starter, and he'll be good or he won't be. We'll see. If he's bad, he wasn't ready, or he was just never ready.
Yeah, that's really it, because everybody has a different definition of what ready means, right? And I think for you and me, we're saying, is he ready to go out and lead the team to wins and put up decent numbers? I think he is.
Is he ready to be better than what Jimmy Garoppolo was last year? I think so. It's on. I mean, we'll see. But that's the only thing that matters for the 49ers. Is he ready to be Patrick Mahomes? No, but no one ever is going to be that. So anyway, let's answer some questions.
The definition should be, is he better? Is he ready to be better than Jimmy Garoppolo? That should be the question.
That's the whole.
That's all that matters.
That's all that matters.